It is Christmas time, but that doesn't mean the A-League football stops. We are rolling through and it's round 9, and we've got some juicy matchups highlighted by the Melbourne Derby this coming weekend. And obviously the big news breaking this week that Patrick Isnolo has left Melbourne Victory on the week of the Melbourne Derby. It's just an incredible story, especially considering that Melbourne Victory defeated Melbourne City in that first derby. It's going to be a big one coming up this week. And feel free to drop your predictions and thoughts on this weekend's matches in the comments section. We'd love to hear from you guys as always. Adelaide United Sydney FC kick us off for a very tantalizing opening fixture for this round because the Reds have been in fantastic form. And look, I was there in person to see them defeat my Central Coast Mariners by 4-0, and they showed their quality in that game, and they've built such a formidable side, especially going forward in attack. Zach Clough has made a great start to this season. Stephen Mork has been amongst the goals. Archie Goodwin looked great last week as well, and even like from the back, Dylan Parias has been chipping forward in attack as well, and defensively, Bart Vreens and Kiki Giannis have been very, very solid. This is a formidable team, and they are rapidly turning into serious contenders for the premiership. They're coming up against the Sydney FC side, who we know have a strong side on paper. That's sort of the big thing with Sydney FC. But for whatever reason, the results just haven't been coming for them, especially of late. A couple of consecutive losses in the A-League, especially last week. That 3-4 loss at home to Western United, I think, was a real concerning one for Tale. You look at the team they deployed in that game, and especially up top, look, they had the players there, and they did score 3 goals in the end. But defensively, there's clearly something going wrong there at Sydney FC. There needs to be a bit more organisation, maybe a bit more discipline, perhaps. Maybe they missed Leo Senna a little bit in their last game as well. So, the Sydney FC fans, I'll be hoping that they can get their Brazilian midfielder back because he's been class for them so far this season. And I think they'll need him if Sydney want to get a result from this game. I'm going to back Adelaide for the win here. I just think they've been so good so far this season. They remain undefeated up to this point. Adelaide United, after 7 games, 5 wins, 2 draws, scored 17, conceded 9, yet to lose. I don't see them losing here against Sydney FC. Sydney will challenge them, and I think we'll get on the score sheet in this game. But the Reds at home, with the form they're on, I think we'll get the win here. Sydney FC, as you can see here, 3 wins, but 4 losses. It's not ideal for Sydney, especially with the quality they have in their team. And another loss here would be pretty disastrous for the Sky Blues as they get close to the new year as well. So I'm going Adelaide 2, Sydney FC 1. I do think the Reds will get over them in the end, and that would be a 3rd consecutive loss in the A-League for the Sky Blues. Auckland FC hosting Western United back at home again. Once again, Auckland. We saw Auckland drop points for the first time this season last week, drawing 2-2 with Melbourne City. And Western United, huge result for them, as mentioned, that 4-3 win over Sydney FC. From Western's point of view, and it's been an interesting season for Western because, if we look at them on the ladder, hey, 2 wins, 3 draws, 3 losses. So the couple of wins, they defeated Perth Glory, which we'd probably expect. But the defeating Sydney FC, that was sort of the big sort of statement, to say that they can really match it with the top teams in the competition, despite maybe not having the strongest squad on paper. And look, they'll be up for this challenge here. Traveling to Auckland away. This is shaping up as sort of the most difficult fixture in the A-League this season, playing Auckland at a packed Go Media Stadium. Auckland are going to be huge favourites, and I think they will win this game. But I would love to see Western give them a real run. And I'm going to say they do. I reckon Western get on the score sheet here. Look, with Noah Botic up top, Ibasuki, there's dangerous players going forward. We saw how good they were on the counter-attack against Sydney FC. I reckon they get on the score sheet, but Auckland surely have to win at home again here. I'm going to say 2-1 for the ladder leaders. Brisbane Roar, Perth Glory. It's the battle of the 2 bottom teams, as we can see here. Both rock bottom of the ladder, 2 points each. Both teams still looking for their first win of the season. It's been an absolute disastrous season, especially, I think, for Perth Glory after 8 games, only scoring 4 goals and conceding 24. 4-0 loss at home against Newcastle Jets was unacceptable. Look, for Brisbane Roar, a lot has been said about their game last week against Wanderers and some of the sort of the, I guess we'll say, tactics that we saw deployed in that game. But they themselves have offered a little bit more, obviously, than Perth Glory, scoring 11 goals in 7 games. Tom Waddingham has made a decent start to the season as well. And at home here, it should be Brisbane's first win of the season. Brisbane have to win this game. I think if Brisbane fail to win this game, even a draw, I think there is seriously mounting pressure on Ruben Zadkovic, who is coming up against his former employers as well. mean, Perth Glory will be viewing this as a winnable game as well, coming up against, another team who are struggling at the moment. So a fascinating one to watch, but Brisbane at home, I will back them for the win. I'm going to go for a 1-0 win for Brisbane Roar, maybe Waddingham to get on the score sheet again. And that's going to segue into the Melbourne Derby, which is well and truly shaping up as the game of the round. Not just because it's a derby, of course, but you've got these two teams who are next to each other on the ladder, man. City in fourth, Victory in third. Victory had the bye last week, so they had a bit of a rest heading into this game. But, some people maybe not happy with that because then they lose the momentum. They've been very good so far. Victory, 5 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss, scoring 12 and conceding 4. City have been pretty good. A couple losses there for Melbourne City, but they've been good in the last couple of weeks, I think, as well. I think they easily could have beaten Auckland last week. They almost did in the end, but Auckland grabbed that late equaliser. And I think City will be looking at the situation of Melbourne Victory, and with Kisnorbo leaving, will that what will the team look like heading into this game? Is Arthur Dillis, who's taking over at Victory, is he going to change up the team now that he's fully in charge? We'll wait and see. I wouldn't expect so. I'd imagine that they'd want to keep as much stability as possible, Melbourne Victory. But City will be remembering that derby early on in the season, round 2. Remember when they were so poor in that first half, the defensive mishaps. Patrick Beach had an absolute shocker in that game as well. I think City are a chance to grab a result here. I really, really do. I think they've been building some nice form in recent weeks, and some of their new signings like Cohen and Andreas Kuhn as well. I mean, they've been playing well. They're a team who maybe have just taken a few weeks to sort of get going, and I think will really test Victory here. But we shouldn't deny Victory of their quality. We shouldn't forget the players they do have. Machash has been good this season, whether it's Arzani, Piscopo, Nikos Virgos up top as well. A dangerous team. So I'm going to expect goals in this game. Tricky one to call. I'm going to go City. I'm going to go City in this one. And Victory, the home team too. I'm going to go 3-2 Melbourne City. I think maybe just the departure of Kisnorbo has destabilized things maybe a little bit for Victory. Don't get me wrong. I think they'll still be very, very strong this season. But City, I'm just a little bit more optimistic about City heading into this game. I'm going to go 3-2 Melbourne City. Again, could easily swing either way, though. Should be a fun one to watch. Sunday sees Western Sydney Wanderers host Wellington Phoenix. A game that both teams need to win. Wellington have got a couple consecutive losses. They lost last week against Macarthur at home, and that was a bit concerning, for Wellington Phoenix, because they've looked good overall this season, but the results haven't really been falling their way. Same thing for Wanderers, who've been struggling with consistency, as we see Wanderers down here in 10th place, 2 wins, 2 draws, and 3 losses. Wellington, 3 wins, 1 draw, 3 losses. So it's an interesting game. Both teams desperate to win it, especially Wanderers being at home. They've been struggling a little bit to secure the wins. A lot of talking, a lot of chat around one matter at the moment at West Sydney Wanderers. Does he feature in the side? We'll certainly keep an eye on that one. I'm going to go for a Wellington win. I just think they have I do think they have the better side, especially at the moment. Alan Stadich maybe still trying to implement his system, getting the players on board. It might take a couple months, into the season until it really gets clicking. I do think Wanderers are a decent team with good players like Milanovic and Borello, who grabbed 2 goals last week. But I rate Phoenix. I really, really do. And I think they do bounce back in this game. And Italiano will have the game plan, I think, to break past Western Sydney. I'm going to go 2-1 win for Wellington Phoenix in this game. And then we've got a Monday night fixture, a couple of days before Christmas. Macarthur FC, Central Coast Mariners. Interesting time for the Mariners. It's been up and down, but last week, that 4-0 loss to Adelaide, we need a response. I hope we see Mark Jackson make some changes to the team, maybe bring in some more young guys. Macarthur FC, I mean, we know what they're capable of. Again, struggling for consistency with 3 wins, 2 draws, 3 losses. But, the win away to Wellington last week, again, and one of these real sort of statement wins where they had to dig deep and come away with the 3 points, and they did so well in the second half to do that. I think they'll be confident that they can get the win over the Mariners in this game. But, I mean, it's tricky to say whether, you never know, because Mariners, we look back to the wins against Newcastle and Sydney, and we were good in those games. And as long as we start strong and field the right lineup, I think we are capable of beating Macarthur. But I think the Bulls have been so good at the moment. I tell you what, I think if we can come away with a draw, I would probably take that right now. Mariners, we've just got to try and stabilize things at the moment. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw in this game. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. Dangerous players on both teams. A tricky one to pick, but I will take a draw for that one. Feel free to drop your predictions in the comment section down below. Thank you very much for tuning in to the Round 9 predictions, and have a safe and happy Christmas, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to Oz Watch Football, and I'll see you in the next one.